Now, the Rams Sports Desk.
All right, each week we give you the tools to make the smartest bets on all the NFL games. And as the season winds down, the sharp money is getting harder and harder to find, which is why we turn to our experts. Let's start off with the co-host of the Bet the Board podcast and pro bettor, Payne Insider, joining us once again. Hey, Payne, welcome back, buddy.
How's everything going tonight, Steve?
All is good. The NFL season is coming to a close, and I'm already looking forward to what we've got this week. And what we're seeing right now is in this Ravens-Tampa game, the Ravens are 7.5-point home favorites to Tampa. 60% of the tickets are on Baltimore, but if you follow the money, the sharps seem to be on Tampa, right?
There has been a little bit of Tampa money coming into the market, but I think the real focus here from professional bettors is the total. There's just been an appetite for the under, and specifically in the first half where you can go under 23.5. And I think when you start to look at this, since Jameis kind of regained his starting job, he's taken care of the football. That's the big thing. Just one turnover the last 3 games. Coaches are really using a conservative offensive approach to help kind of aid Jameis with that. And then you look once again this week, right? The Bucs are without Deshaun Jackson and O.J. Howard. Last week, kind of once the Saints smartly double-teamed Mike Evans, the Tampa offense became real stagnant. And then you get this Baltimore defense right now, second most efficient defense in the NFL. They're at home, must-win game. I think they're going to play well here. But the most important angles here, I think, for going under is Lamar Jackson. Since he started 4 weeks ago, Baltimore runs the ball 66% of the snaps, and you kind of paint that picture. The most run-heavy team in the NFL this season is Seattle. They run it about 52% of the time, so when you're running it, the clock runs. The other interesting thing we've seen here with Lamar Jackson is Baltimore's pace of play is significantly lower as well. And I think the final thing here is if you look at the weather, about 15-mile-per-hour steady winds, an 80% chance of rain at kickoff. If you've talked to college coaches that run option offenses, rain becomes a problem. The run games get a little bit more conservative. Your first thought is hang on, protect the ball, rather than these big explosive plays which become hindered. So the under here is really sharp, Steve.
All right, a lot of money flowing here on the Bills this week as well. So much so that line against Detroit has moved a very important half point from 3 to 2.5. You know, it's not often that a team with the worst record is the favorite and then getting all the tickets.
You're spot on, and this line actually opened some places. Buffalo +1, Pick'em was the majority of the opening number there. And you know, you hate to make you talk Lions-Bills tonight, but I think the money's just as green on the ugly games. And when you look at this line currently, it indicates Detroit is better than Buffalo, which we don't believe is true current form. It also doesn't account for Buffalo's home field advantage late in the year, which you should be increasing gradually. Think about this, Steve. Buffalo's only won 42% of their overall games since 2010, but Buffalo's actually 16-6 straight up at home after Week 10 since 2012. That's the 6th best in the NFL. You kind of compound that home field advantage late in the year for Buffalo when it gets cold with a dome team in Detroit coming to town. The Lions are 0-8 in outdoor games against unfamiliar opponents since 2015, so you have the great situational spot. And I'm not a big trends guy, but that's one that's really important. And think about this. Buffalo's actually 3-3 with Josh Allen starting at quarterback this year. They could easily be 5-1 those 6 starts. The Bills lost to Miami, but they outgained them on the road by 235 yards. Again, last week against the Jets, they blow a double-digit lead at home despite outgaining New York by over 100 yards. When you look at the defenses that Buffalo's faced this year at home, this will be Josh Allen's easiest test by far. The Lions are 29th in overall defensive efficiency. They're without Ziggy Ansah, who's placed on the IR. Stevie's grayed out the NFL's #1 pass rusher this season. Detroit's 2nd best pass rusher, Deshaun Hand, is also out for this game. Those are the reasons why pro bettors really like Buffalo on the money line so far this week.
You know, that's the beautiful thing about sports gaming. Even the ugly games will look beautiful if you know which side of the line to lay your money on. You can hear all of his thoughts on the Bet the Board podcast. Payne Insider, thanks so much, buddy.
Appreciate it. Have a great night, Steve.
All right, so let's bring in another man with his analytical insights. He is the sports product manager at the Quant Edge. We welcome back Elliot Chris. Elliot, how's things?
Things are great, man. I'm really excited to be back. It was fun last week.
Well, you did a great job, which is why we have you back, and I love the way that you really dive into the numbers and explain what's actually happening out there on the football field. And like I said, sometimes we're highlighting games that maybe might not be the sexiest games in the NFL, but this Bills-Lions game is really intriguing, and I feel like there's a lot of sharp money that's riding in this game as we're sticking with this one. The over-under on this has moved to 39.5. Does that mean that a lot of the money is flowing in on the under?
You rarely see the public betting under, so it's not. No one wants to root for less points in a game.
So the Sharks are throwing that money around.
And yeah, we're talking about a Buffalo Bills team where they've relied on Josh Allen's running ability. You know, he has 490 rushing yards so far this year, 401 of which have come on scrambles. Only 89 have come on design runs. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions are the #1 team in the NFL, limiting quarterbacks rushing. So we're talking about a team that's giving up about 5 yards per game to quarterbacks rushing, and you could say, have they played anybody?
Right.
But if you look at Dak Prescott, 3 carries, 2 yards. Russell Wilson, 2 carries, 15 yards. Mitch Trubisky, 3 carries, 18 yards. Cam Newton, 2 carries, 2 yards.
Some of the best rushing quarterbacks in the NFL who find ways to extend plays and extend series with their legs.
And the Lions' strategy oftentimes is to contain quarterbacks and keep them in the pocket. And so if we're going to rely on Josh Allen to be efficient, that's something he's never been. Not in college, not this year. I mean, he's averaged under 8 yards per attempt in all but 2 games this year. He's only completed more than 60% of his passes once this entire season. And 60% is not even a good rate. He's yet to complete more than 18 passes. So you're looking at a Bills offense that's pretty average at best, if I'm trying to be nice about it.
Well, now I'm starting to understand why the pros are leaning on the Lions and why they're leaning on the under here. Let's get to the Bears here. 5.5-point home favorites to Green Bay after Chicago's big win. Joe Public all over the Bears. Is that a bit of an overreaction, though?
I don't think it is.
No?
I think that the Bears defense is it's fantastic.
Yeah.
At home this year, they're allowing only 280 yards per game. In all but 2 games this year, they have at least 2 turnovers forced. In 42% of their games, they have 4 more sacks. In the last 4 games, Aaron Rodgers has been sacked at least 4 times, 3 times. So this is a team that's getting after the passer, and this is a team in the Green Bay Packers that can't block anyone. So that front 7 is something that's going to dominate this game. They're going to limit the run game, and they're going to force Aaron Rodgers to throw. And if we look back at the first game that these 2 teams played, the Bears dominated before Aaron Rodgers came back and played Superman.
Yeah.
We're talking about a Bears team that was winning 17-0 going into the half.
And in those division rivalries, boy, there's always something a little bit extra on the table here. As for Ben Roethlisberger, this guy's apparently good to go against the Patriots. Pittsburgh's loss, though, kind of moved the line. The look-ahead line had the Steelers as 2.5-point favorites. Now they're dogs. Do you see a play here?
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers, every time Vegas has doubted them this year, they've covered. They're 3-0 as underdogs this year. And we're talking about a Steelers team that's now getting 5.5 points. That's a huge swing.
A 5.5-point swing from where it was in the before.
The only major injury concern would be James Conner, but he was expected to be out anyway. So that's not worth a 5.5-point swing. Yes, the Steelers lost in Oakland, but Ben Roethlisberger missed the second half because Oakland's X-ray machine doesn't work. That's about as fluky as it gets. And if we want to talk about fluke, yes, the way the Patriots lost was ridiculous. Maybe they shouldn't play Gronk at safety. But these 2 teams, you know, the Patriots are just 3-4 against the spread on the road. The Patriots have run the second most of any team the last 3 weeks, averaging over 35 carries per game. And then they're targeting their running backs 25% of the time. And the Steelers, outside of the game against Christian McCaffrey, have taken away opposing running backs with a 44% success rate against, just 4 yards per carry. And the Patriots on defense really struggle to cover running backs. Jalen Samuels, his 2 years, 2016 to 2017, led college football with plays of over 15 yards. And he's a guy that played slot receiver and tight end, so he can be a dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield. And Juju Smith, I think, is the guy that's going to cause nightmares for the Patriots because against man coverage, his rookie year, 158.3. That's a perfect wide receiver rating. So far this year, 137.5.
Wow.
The guy he's going up against, Jason McCourty, man covered 63% of the time. So I think the Patriots are going to struggle to stop what the Steelers like to do, and the Steelers are going to be able to stop what the Patriots like to do.
Even though I know you don't think that Rob Gronkowski makes a great safety, I will say the most beautiful image was seeing 87 flopping on his face as the Patriots lose. For everybody here in New York, we all love seeing that, by the way. You can follow him on Twitter and get his analytics at the Quant Edge. Elliot Christ, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back.